What up, all you Balatro or Balatro addicts? Me too. I have a problem. I'm gonna have to uninstall that game, but it doesn't matter. Mark with Carter Vox Academy here, and today I'm very pumped to be talking about new Darko. Darko is a very interesting, very glitchy, very enticing band. They make a lot of sounds that you don't expect, and that's part of the reason I like Tom Barber as a vocalist as well. He does a lot of things that are outside of the metal vocal meta, and I'm excited to talk about it now. If you're new here and you haven't seen one of my vocal analysis videos before, my name is Mark. I am a full-time harsh metal vocal teacher. That's my only job. That's what I do for a living. And I'm here to teach you how to do stuff like safely and efficiently so you don't hurt yourself. And also we can talk about what makes Tom Barber neat. So if you like that, like, share, and subscribe. If you're interested in what I do with my voice, check out Kardashev on Spotify or wherever. That's all I got. Let's just do this.
I'm sorry. Try again.
Okay, let's actually go ahead and let's talk a little bit here. So first and foremost, I love the like vampire-y nightclub vibes of this song. It reminds me of the beginning of Blade. If you've ever seen Blade, that opening scene where Blade goes in and kills all the vampires, because that's what he does. That's what Blade's thing is. Wesley Snipes killing vampires. Anyway, let's talk about these vocals. So the main thing we have here are contrasting highs and layers of lows and mids, punctuating certain sections of the song, right? That's been kind of my word lately, punctuating. I've said that in the last like 3 videos, but it's kind of interesting. The highs are very clear and very easy to discern. The vocals here have a lot of production and like grit effects on them. Now that makes sense with the sound of this song. It's very, like I said, it's very glitchy. It's very techno, very EDM. I don't think he's hiding behind effects or anything like that. I just mention that because oftentimes when I say, oh, there are effects here, people are like, no, oh, he's not cheating. And I'm just like, I don't even want to have that discussion again. Go away from me. Go away from me. But I want to talk about the highs first, and then we can talk about the mids and lows maybe a little bit later. But these highs are awesome. They are a very fundamental, often grouped as false chord high vocal. Whether or not the term false chord high makes a lot of sense, that's kind of up to you. When I do a lot of these vocals, when I do a lot of those vocals, I've actually seen these vocals. I can see very well. I just look very like right in the back of my mouth. And I've got these 2 folds in the back of the mouth called the palatopharyngeal folds. And they zip up. And a lot of distortion comes from there and just below the base of my tongue. But it doesn't feel like epiglottal rattle. By the way, eventually I'll be going with the charismatic voice and getting scoped and stabbed up like Will Ramos was. So we'll see for sure what I'm doing. But these vocals that he has, they're very interestingly balanced, right? A lot of time, especially in deathcore lately, right? Although, is this deathcore anymore? I don't know. What do you think? Tell me in the comments below. But in a lot of deathcore, we've really, especially over the past like year or 2, moved into like super compressed vocals. So a lot of these vocals, like Ryan Vale of Larsenio Row is really good at this. He does a lot of like this, hyper compressed, like that sort of stuff. And it's super cool. Tom, Mr. Barber here, is doing a lot more right? And the reason this often gets called a false chord high is because it's very easy to transition from a mid. And hey, when I go get scoped, maybe I'll see the false chords going crazy and I'll be like, okay, cool, that name makes sense. But if we take this, hey, right there, that's a baseline mid, very simple, and we go and we make this sort of vocal tract transition. Bear in mind, I'm not squeezing my vocal cords. I'm not going don't do that. I got a burp. Hold on. Bless you. Bless me. Bless who? I don't know. But if we go now I just stay in this spot right there. Right? You can also take your false chords and do like this laughing exercise, which by the way, Noel, if you're watching this is not an exercise we have tried yet, but we can take, I don't think so. We can take like a ha 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 ha. Do that with false chord. Ha 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 ha. Then try it here. Right? So very interesting to hear. I want to play a little bit more before we talk mids and lows, because there were a couple layers there. And like I said, there's a lot of crunch effect on there. So I want to see if I can, with my ear, peel them apart a little bit better. But let's keep going. Oh, that sounds dirty. We'll go back a little bit if I feel like it. So, okay, let's talk about these mids and lows, right? So yeah, we're definitely hearing some layering here. Now, you know, I could be wrong about some of these layers, of course, but what I'm hearing is two main types of vocals that are existing in various types of balance. One is a very basic false chord mid that Tom uses. And I love when I hear that. I love when I hear the foundational false chord mid being used really, really, really well in this genre and deathcore adjacent genres, because it kind of got abandoned for a little while. It was like, oh, that vocal is just for death metal. Oh, that vocal is just for like 1995, like, you know, gritty whatever. But a lot of like Tom Barber uses it exceptionally well. Alex Tayan from Black Tongue uses it well. This is not a deathcore adjacent genre, but Nurgle, Behemoth, he uses it really well, right? We can do these different balances. And Tom kind of tends to, across his music, switch between two different well, many things, but two main false chord techniques that I'm aware of, right? One is totally voiceless. Hey, boys, nah. He tends to have a brighter timbre than I do, but it's the same thing. Nah. And then a lot of the time, he'll kind of add a and he has that sort of blah, 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 articulation to it. And it creates this really cool tone. So that's what I'm hearing here. I'm hearing variations of those two vocals. You've got your pitchless false chord. Hey. You've got your pitched false chord with a little bit of whine. Hey, and that has, he's a little less and a little bit more than I am. And then we've got his compressed mid. I love this compressed mid he does. Actually, interestingly enough, in the album that Kardashev, the band I do vocals for, it's not released yet. It's done. It's mixed and mastered and basically ready to go. But it's not released yet. But Tom Barber specifically was my inspiration for a lot of the mid vocals, either Tom Barber or Travis Ryan, were the two people where I was like, I got to channel this energy. In his mids, I've talked about this before, but I want to talk about it again in case this is the first time. His mids are very interesting because like 3 to 4-ish years ago, one thing I noticed, at least with my scope of the metal vocal meta, right, which I only see a slice of what's going on in the overall deathcore and death metal vocal conversation. So take this with a grain of salt. This is my experience, but it was like mids and lows had to have a lot of low end or people didn't like them. And then Tom's out here going, like super thin, and it sounds so sick. It sounds so cool. It's croaky, it's clacky, it's clinky, it's God. And now for me to achieve that sound, I have to I engage the top of the supraglottal tissues. Supra, by the way, means like above or like, yeah, I guess above. I'm trying to think of some synonyms, maybe outside of the confines sometimes. But like supraglottal means above the glottis. So supraglottal tissues above the glottis or your vocal folds. Glottis and vocal folds aren't the exact same thing, but good enough for us right now. Anyway, so we take this.
I like to use this sort of orc voice, this sort of Yoda, strong with the force he is, and then I remove my voice from it, and then I push a little bit, and then I put it out the side of my mouth,
and that's how I achieve that kind of thin sound. I've never seen him do that mouth shape in his what are they called? One takes. but maybe he does. Anyways, I want you to listen for the variation. I will say the vocal production is kind of making these techniques blend together a little bit, but I actually don't think that's bad because it sounds kind of chaotic, and this song is very chaotic. So I think it works for what the song's trying to do. Let's keep going. Yeah, listen to this low. It's not out of the side of the mouth, but if you listen really close, this is kind of interesting. I don't know if it's going to come through in the video because YouTube compresses everything. But if you listen close, you can hear a very distinct click, 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 click in his low. And I suspect that that's a lot of the epiglottis going, or it could be the arytenoid cartilages or cuneiform cartilages kind of going at more of like a distinct against the base of the epiglottis. That's entirely possible too. Let's listen to that. Let's listen to that real quick. Going back is always such a dicey game because it makes editing the videos so much more annoying. But I think in this case, it's worth it. Here we go. Hey, perfect. Perfect. That's a perfect spot for a pause. Heck yeah. How many comments are going to be like, he totally heard it before? You know what? What if I did? What are you going to do? How's that going to change your day? You're going to be fine. But anyway, so I got distracted honestly by how good the song is. I love like this very, it's like this very industrial, very mechanical, very metallic song, but with groove and rhythm to it. And I think that's really cool. One thing he's doing, and I tend to think that this is intentionally because it's working so well in the layers, is one thing he's doing is he is taking what would be a low, but brightening it. That's kind of interesting. Let's talk about what I mean. So oftentimes when we get into more compressed vocals, you know, one thing that is true across a lot of metal vocals is that like a low and a high, or like whatever makes something a mid and a low. Okay, let me start this sentence over. One thing that is often true for many metal vocals is that the shape of the mouth and the tongue is the biggest deciding factor in whether or not it's a mid or a low. This is true. However, there are some things that we do in our throat with our supraglottal tissues to also create low tones, right? For example, if I have a slower rate of vibration, that's going to sound more lower, right? So if I take like a, you hear how I leaned and it sort of started to feel a little bit brighter. So we have like these multiple levers that we can work on. And if you take, I'm not going to do it as well as he is because this is not something I do in Kardashev at all. It's never. There are some spots where I guess I could. I just never thought of it. Never tried it really. But if I take this like clackier rate of distortion, which I'm going to do the best way that I can do it, it may not be the same way he's doing it. But if I take this slower rate of distortion, right? And instead of going like, you know, I go, well, there it is. Do you hear how I have the brightness of timbre of a mid, but the rate of distortion and the cavernousness of a low? That's a cool mixture of these two things. And it's the part that I think is intentional is that it's really pairing well against those more fundamental false chord techniques in those layers. Like it's a really nice contrast that isn't necessarily unheard of, but is really working for this song and for his voice as well. Like one thing I like about Tom is that he really does seem to write to his voice, you know? And that's that. Here we go.
So
What is going on? What is going on in this video? It's like scary and goofy and tongue-in-cheek, and also like this dude's apartment is like, it looks like it's straight out of Cyberpunk, right? It looks like it's straight out of Cyberpunk 2077, which is one of the best games ever made. Not only, okay, does that story have one of the that game have one of the best comeback stories in the history of gaming? And don't talk to me about No Man's Sky. I don't want to hear it. Not on the same level. Not only that, but it has one of the best cities ever. It made in any game. Oh, there's nothing to do. You're not creative enough. You don't know how to immerse yourself. You don't know how to suspend disbelief. I used to just drive my Rayfield Caliburn around for hours in that game. Sorry, we're not here to talk about video games. Although sometimes to be honest, if people were like, Mark, what do you love more, metal or really well-made video games? I'd be like, ooh, I don't know if I want to answer that question. That makes me nervous about who I am. Just kidding. It doesn't at all. Oftentimes it is video games, but so there was a really interesting scream. I'm going to go back. Oh, this going back is killing me. There's a very interesting scream where it's just like this mid forward tunnely sounding thing. Again, lots of layers going on, but I'm just listening to like what seems to be the most dominant. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. All right. Yeah. So there is a lot of added on that, right? Now, I'm not a producer, so I don't know what kind of effects or things are going on. But what it sounds to me like is happening, and on this one, I could be totally wrong. But what sounds to me, maybe my brain is just prepped and primed to think this, is I am hearing what sounds like another example of doing two things, like how I talked about low stuff here but mid stuff here to create this weird like in between tone. I'm kind of hearing that here. Like it sounds to me like there could be like a tunnel thing going on, and if again I could be 100% wrong because it's kind of hard to hear fully what's going on, but it sounds like there's like a tunnel thing going on. But in a lot of times when we tunnel, we either do this or we do this or right? But this sounds like an maybe that always makes my spit foamy. I don't know. That what that's what I would do to achieve it, but I'm gonna say I could go any direction. Here we go. Let's finish the song out. Oh, that's the end. Yeah, what a cool video. What a really cool video. Yeah, that was whoever like did the editing and the production of that video. Good job, because you really hit, you know, look at that bounce patrol. Ah, toddler parents, you know what's up. If I have to listen to Daddy Finger, where are you? I'm not kidding. I love that. My son and I sing that all the time on the way home. Wheels on the Bus? Jamming out to Wheels on the Bus? Come on. You don't know good music if you're not jamming out to Wheels on the Bus. Come on now. Muffin Man? You kidding me? I sang Muffin Man with the wrong lyrics the other day. He got pissed. He was like, no! And I was like, oh, sorry. He actually kicked me. I had to take him to timeout. Like, because I sang Muffin Man wrong. He walked up to me and he kicked me too. He's a crack. And I'm like, what the hell? Where'd you learn that? Gonna have to talk to grandma about what's going on over at her house, but she's letting him watch. He's probably playing Mortal Kombat. Anyway, yeah, excellent video, excellent song. I haven't heard the new album, which I believe this and the album both dropped today, but I'm definitely going to be listening to it. I think Darko really hits a unique spot in metal that a lot of people aren't hitting, and I always like and appreciate that, even in cases where it's not like my thing. Although this very much is. I'm always like, dang, good on you for being out here and doing something kind of weird, but also accessible. So that's all I have to say. Sorry about the little toddler rant, but I'm not going to cut it out because this is my channel and I had fun telling the story. So that's all I have for you today. If you haven't checked out Darko, you should. Also, Chelsea Grin. Tom Barber is also the vocalist in Chelsea Grin. And there are a lot of crossovers, but you know, they're different enough experiences to where they're both worth looking into. That's all I have. I'm going to shut up. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.